6:01. It is November 3rd. We're ready to begin our regular board meeting for the Port Arthur Economic Development Corporation. May I have a roll call, please?
Beverly Raymond. Kayla Jacobs.
Here.
Jerry LaBeouf.
Here.
Daryl Anderson.
Here.
Morris Albright.
Here.
Ingrid Holmes. Here. Caprina Frank. We have a quorum, Chair.
Let's stand for the invocation. Ms. Frank.
Gracious Father in heaven, we come before you thanking you, God, for all your many blessings. Asking that, Lord, that the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart be acceptable in your sight, God, that we make the decision, the right decision.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our minutes from the October regular board meeting and the August regular board meeting. May I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
It's been moved and second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right. We have a presentation. Ms. Mueller, you want to?
Yes, Board. Tonight we have Ms. Dana Espinal from the Small Business Development Center here. On your agenda, you do have two updates listed, a progress update from the Lamar State College Port Arthur SBDC and an update on retail strategies. We are not going to cover the progress update from SBDC tonight. Ms. Espinal is here on behalf of the group for retail strategies to give you all an update on where they are on their implementation plan.
Good evening. Thank you for having me this evening, and I was asked to by our action team of the downtown revitalization implementation to come before you and give you a presentation about the progress and what we're doing. You as a corporation so graciously hired Retail Strategies, Downtown Strategies, to put together a downtown revitalization plan and collaborate with the city's strategic plan for downtown and how those two work together on getting downtown revitalized and getting some businesses here in downtown Port Arthur. So this evening I am prepared to give you an update on what the action team has been doing. I have been asked to go over this information with you, and if you have any questions, please feel free to do so. I'm here to help bridge that wanting to know, so we're not in a position to keep things from you. We're just trying to keep things moving, and we apologize for not getting in front of you sooner, but there's been a lot of things going on, so I'm here tonight to present that information to you. So it's been less than a year. We went, the Port Arthur EDC went under contract with Retail Strategies, Downtown Strategies in February earlier this year. So it's been less than a year that we have been working on this implementation plan. In February, the partnership began with Retail Strategies and an action team was formed. The action team is comprised of several different entities that represent the best interest for downtown Port Arthur, meaning we've got people on there that are small business owners on the action team. We have one city councilwoman on the action team, and we have also a representative from Motiva on the action team. And the action team also included a member of Port Arthur EDC. And we worked strategically and worked in line with the city's strategic plan to help develop an implementation plan that made sense, right? That has measurable goals of things that we could accomplish within an immediate time frame, and also long-term time frame. So we looked at low-hanging fruit, things that we could immediately start engaging in and getting some results on to start seeing some activity for downtown. And then there are longer range goals in the implementation plan to carry us through the next several years of things that we can develop and grow for downtown. The action team did a partnership onboarding and kickoff call with Downtown Strategies, and that call helped us outline our goals and objectives for the year and gave us a really defined timeline of when we needed to get things done and how we needed to get them done. And so that was very helpful for the action team in giving us some guidelines on what the expectations were for us to get to a point to where we had something tangible that we can share and show the folks of what our plans are, for the implementation plan. We had a strategic visioning workshop that a lot of people, and many of you may remember seeing the survey that went out and talked about, and it went out to a lot of residents, I should say, of Port Arthur, to talk about how do you see downtown, and a lot of the responses came from either potential small business owners or existing small business owners that may be interested in relocating in downtown Port Arthur. So we really focused on that small business component, right, of getting our small business owners interested in coming into downtown and ask for their feedback for that. And then we had a market analysis presentation in July from Downtown Strategies about the current market for Port Arthur and downtown Port Arthur. The income, we looked at the income base, what the median income was for downtown Port Arthur, and how that aligns with what types of businesses. We had a gap analysis provided to us to show us what type of businesses would be good for us to start marketing and engaging in conversations to potential small business owners for starting those types of businesses in downtown Port Arthur. And then we had a draft implementation plan presented I want to say this month, but we're in November now, in October. And in October, the action team was provided a draft implementation plan. And this plan was given to us to help, get input from different entities. I know Councilwoman Everfield has been using the plan and getting input from the city officials. We provided the plan to Crystal for her to give us input from the Port Arthur EDC, and I have been using the plan. I've gotten input from Mars State College of Port Arthur, from Dr. Renard, and so the idea is for us to use this plan in collaboration and for us to work together in implementing the different entities that we need to engage to help us grow and develop downtown. Okay? So our upcoming milestones that are coming up for the action team, we're going to finalize the implementation draft. We're getting feedback, as I mentioned. That feedback is then going back to the consultants for them to tweak and to edit the draft plan that they've presented. And so it's more in line with the stakeholders for downtown Port Arthur. We will have a project mapping workshop with Downtown Strategies, and that workshop will really dig in, focus on exact locations of where we primarily want to start, and start having those conversations with either the property owners or business owners who have already what's the word I want to use, invest in downtown. Maybe they've purchased property and they're ready to start those conversations about what's next, start talking about those next steps. And then we have a Action Team 3030 call in December, next month, actually. It doesn't seem possible. But that 3030 call is about setting reasonable, achievable goals that we can achieve in 30 days for in January, of how we can take this information that has been given to us and prioritize it, start with the low-hanging fruit so we can start showing some progress on where we are with the implementation plan. And then in February, end of February of 2026, will be the opportunity for us to talk about the next phase, phase 2, and we would come before the Port Arthur EDC to have those conversations about, the next phase. Here is the first phase of the implementation plan, and we're ready to move into the second phase and what that looks like. So let's dive in a little bit and look at the focus areas that we focused on for the implementation, okay? The Action Team and Downtown Strategies identified 4 focus areas for initiatives to support, strengthen, and enhance downtown. Each focus area was identified based on feedback received during the in-market strategic visioning workshop that I mentioned earlier, along with the surveys that we received from small business owners, as well as the consultant team's expertise and analysis. They also generated these 4 focus areas. First one is policy and administration. The second one is design. The third one is tourism and promotion. And the fourth one is economic vitality. Those are the 4 focus areas that the Action Team is engaged in. What those look like in brief summary is under policy and administration, is coordinating leadership, establishing teams, and providing goals and objectives for each one of those teams within the 4 focus areas. So not one team is trying to do a lot, but you have a lot of several focus area teams. Focus area teams that are focusing on their objectives to get more done, right? Instead of giving them the big picture, we're breaking it down in chunks so we can do little chunks and get little chunks accomplished at the same time. Under a policy and administration focus group, we've got coordinated leadership, enhanced property standards. That is about enforcing maintenance and vacancy ordinances to improve downtown appearance and accountability. Support building improvements. This includes launch multi-tiered grant programs to fund repairs, facade upgrades, and interior build-outs. And these are things that we will work in coordination with and have those conversations about what that looks like and how to get that accomplished. Also under policy and administration is activate downtown spaces. We suggest offering grants for lighting, live music, evening events to boost vibrancy, to get folks downtown and start utilizing some of our facilities that we already have downtown that folks can use. So the second focus group was design. And under design is enhanced streetscapes, focus short and long-term improvements along key downtown corridors. The Action Team identified a block radius for downtown to be our vocal points, and that's Proctor Street, 5th Street, and Austin Avenue with upgraded lighting, crosswalks, banners, and landscaping. Create visual landmarks, add a gateway signage, murals, and photo destinations, maybe suggested maybe the People's Park, and have a downtown Port Arthur mural somewhere. Someone would allow us to paint a beautiful mural for downtown Port Arthur. And that would be to strengthen identity and appeal. Strengthen campus downtown connections, partner with Lamar State College Port Arthur to design custom streetscape elements such as banners, lighting between campus and downtown to bring the campus downtown and downtown to the campus. So we are in coordination with each other. That is the intent of that. Also to beautify and light public spaces, install decorative and overhead lighting, tree wraps, and string lights to enhance safety and nighttime vibrancy for downtown. And then activate vacant storefronts, maybe launch a facelift program to improve building facades and display windows for a more inviting downtown experience as people come to downtown. The third focus was tourism and promotion. Strengthen marketing presence. We use social media and a dedicated Visit Port Arthur webpage to highlight downtown improvements and events. Enhance public spaces through art. Introduce public art installations and photo op sites along Austin Avenue to add vibrancy and visual interest. Improve wayfinding and identity, install clear directional signage and a prominent gateway feature to better connect downtown with Boardwalk Park and the seawall. Activate downtown through events, launch reoccurring on the Avenue events to attract visitors, support businesses, and celebrate downtown investments. And then engage the student community, host a welcome back block party, for example, with Lamar State College Port Arthur to kick off the school year and build momentum for ongoing downtown programming. The next focus was economic vitality, and this was the fourth focus. Strengthen property owner engagement. It is suggested that we help facilitate and develop a comprehensive outreach campaign to connect with local and absentee owners, share revitalization resources, and encourage maintenance compliance. Support and connect local businesses. Use tools like Google Business Profiles and Facebook groups to improve visibility, communication, and collaboration among downtown businesses. Boost marketing and customer loyalty, coordinate downtown branding, promotions, and loyalty initiatives. For example, a passport and referral program to drive repeat visitation and cross-promotion for downtown Port Arthur. Expand business activation opportunities. Launch structured pop-up programs and First Friday markets to fill vacant spaces. Test new concepts and attract downtown visitors. You know, maybe it's a farmer's market. Maybe we started out one Saturday a month, right? And as the market grows, we maybe move it to 2 Saturdays a month, and then so on, to where we can start getting that downtown activity, okay? And then lastly, under economic vitality, foster business growth pipelines. Help these pop-ups and small businesses transition to permanent locations through targeted mentoring and financial support partnerships. And obviously, the Small Business Development Center is here to help foster that partnership, but we are engaged in developing those small business owners, not just to open their doors, but to be successful business owners for long term. We want to see that to be a legacy, right, for their children and their grandchildren. That's what we're focusing on, okay? And so with that, that's all I have today. Are there any questions?
Yes, you mentioned several times about giving grants. Where are you going to try to get your grant money from?
Well, there's several suggestions on the table. Obviously, if we pass the Type B, 504 Type B, 505 Type B, then there may be an opportunity to develop grants there. There's also the opportunity to reach out to the industry to foster possible grants. So there's opportunities. You're still a part of Main Street. Port Arthur still has a Main Street identity for Main Street. There may be an opportunity there. We just need to look at that. But the suggestion is to develop some type of grant program to help with the exterior appearances of some of the buildings.
That program was tried back in the late 90s, if I remember correctly. And a lot of those buildings are gone now. The grants were given to.
Okay?
No, I'm just stating that. It's not a question.
Go ahead. I have a series of questions. I'm not going to ask all of them. I'll save some of them for a subsequent email. But my primary question would be, so for context purposes, under the leadership of the previous EDC CEO, we were presented with retail strategies, downtown strategies, kind of idea of what they wanted to do and bring to Port Arthur. And in the course of that conversation, I think there were multiple presentations that were provided. My main question was, and now remains, now that we're getting a status update, I didn't realize this was carrying on. I don't know if anyone else did. But my main question would be, there was a previous downtown revitalization plan that was drafted by the city. And in our conversations, if my memory serves me correctly, with retail strategies, it was agreed that whatever was developed was going to supplement what was already created. And in that plan, again, if my memory serves me correctly, there were several action steps that were built out, detailed in a RACI matrix style. So who's responsible, who's accountable, who's consulted, who's informed. And I would say like at least 90% of those items belonged to the city of Port Arthur, namely the city council, to carry out as a result of what previous consultants had laid out, and again, what retail strategies had agreed that they would supplement. So I'm kind of lost as to where, and it sounds like a lot of effort has been put in, multiple meetings, et cetera, but I'm kind of lost as to where this fits in. And if there's only one council person on this action team, I don't want the efforts to be futile. I think that's kind of where I land. I don't want the efforts to be futile if it's going to require action on part of the city council. Then how is what this team has done, the actions that you've taken, all the effort put in, going to be viable and carried forward?
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, you're wanting to know how the implementation plan will be carried forward, right? So in the plan, right now in draft form, there is a matrix that shows responsibility. Some of that responsibility is the city, like code enforcement and those kinds of things. There is also responsibility for Port Arthur EDC. There's responsibility listed for Lamar State College, Port Arthur. There's responsibility listed for the Chamber of Commerce. So it is an effort to bring all of those entities in line with roles and responsibilities to see progress in getting downtown revitalized, what we need. There is an entrepreneur ecosystem that needs to take place, a process. And this matrix shows how that entrepreneur ecosystem can take place. But we have to come together. The city, has their plan, but we need the city to work with Port Arthur EDC and work with the chamber and work with the college to where we all have the same goals in front of us and we're working from the same set of goals.
Right. And I agree with that, but I think my question still remains, if we have an action team that's only comprised of one member, sounds that way, of our municipal government, how is this viable and how are our efforts not futile? And I'm saying this because I agree with you and I believe in what we're trying to do, but I think my messaging previously was pretty clear and cautionary as well, in that the previous plan that we agreed was the implementation or action plan, whatever it's called, that was created, that Retail Strategies agreed whatever they created was going to be supplemental to that.
And that's what they did.
Over 90% of those action items, the city of Port Arthur was listed as the responsible party, not the EDC, not the chamber, not the SBDC, not the port, not Lamar State College Port Arthur, but the city of Port Arthur. And so my fear is that having one person, and I expressed that at the press building when we attended the session with the young lady from Downtown Strategies, if there's only one person, and it's a council person, that is a stakeholder in this, I'm left with with more questions than answers.
I understand, and I hope that we can help address those questions for you, and we certainly don't want there to be a feeling that there is like black holes, right? Because that's not our intent. Our intent is to identify how we can take the city's strategic plan, that they've identified areas in their strategic plan, and actually this is meant to be the implementer, to say, this is what you need to do and who needs to help drive it, not necessarily get it done, but to drive it, right? And that's where the action teams come into play, is identifying those stakeholders for the community to help drive those. Just like the beautification community that the city has, it's similar to that. They're focused on helping keep the beautification for the city. So it's similar to that.
That's all my questions. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Vanna, you're saying your team will drive Port Arthur's report or strategy?
No, sir. That's not what I'm saying, and it's not my team. It is, I would say it's Port Arthur's team. But their role, the action team's role, is to help facilitate, to get those involved that are the key stakeholders to help get the plan done.
So are they working with Port Arthur right now with their plan? Because their plan's not in place yet.
It is not in place yet. It's in draft form right now. It has not been published for final form. We're still getting feedback.
Because you're talking about landscaping, you're talking about lighting. That's good to be talking about, but Port Arthur's going to have to approve all that.
Yes, sir. That is correct. You are correct.
This list that we're talking about, so we all had a copy of the list of the responsibilities.
Not yet. It hasn't been released yet.
It hadn't been released yet.
No. I was asked to give an update on showing progress and what the action team has been doing, and just to show your investment, your return on investment of what is happening, and to report back to you. And then we certainly are going to come back to you and say, okay, here we are, this is what the plan says, and what are our next steps?
Liz Caleb.
Yes, Ms. Mueller, are you familiar with what we're referring to?
Unfortunately, I don't have that previous list, but what I can say is when Ms. Espinal did come last week and we kind of touched base on where they are with this, I did view what that action team looks like, and I definitely echo what your thoughts are as well, and one of the suggestions that I made was to maybe start to bring some of those other persons from the action team or the other organizations from those action teams to the table so that they can start to buy into this plan, because right now I know there is a core group that's been working on this. It's very preliminary from what I understand. It has not been released, so I know they're working to finalize their draft presentation, and hopefully before it's final and publicized, you'll be able to get those action team members at the table so that they can...
It's in the works.
You're right, because there is a lot for the city to do. There are some suggestions for the EDC chamber as well, so they'll definitely need to have buy-in from those different groups to make sure it can go forward.
Can we identify that document and make it available to the members of the board? I distinctly remember earlier this year having a packet, having a packet that it was the actual, I don't know if it was a draft or like what version, but there was a downtown revitalization plan, right, that was created for the city of Port Arthur, and it had details as well as a matrix in the back with all the action steps, and I believe there were close to 90 steps, and as I mentioned, the city of Port Arthur was the owner of the majority of those steps. When we agreed to engage Retail Strategies as a board, it was under the understanding that what they were doing was going to be supplemental to the plan that was already developed. So I think that that plan that's already developed is core to this conversation that we're having, and it will be core to this group's understanding of how they're also moving forward. The action team is moving forward. So I think we need to uncover that and redistribute it.
Yes, ma'am. We can definitely try to get a copy of what was provided back in February, March, I think was when that meeting
Before
happened.
then.
How many people are on the action team?
6, I believe.
The previous director said, it was my understanding before we got started that I remember the 90 items, but for some reason I remember about 25 people that were supposed to be involved from different city departments and everything else. And if we haven't even done that yet,
We have.
if you have an action team of 5 or 6,
The action team is 5 or 6, that's the core team, if that's what you're asking me. And then there is another team that will be engaged.
have they been engaged so far?
They were invited to that workshop. A lot of the folks that were at that workshop were part of that team, if I'm understanding your inquiry.
All right, thank you.
The question I have is that, how long has this action team been effective? Who was responsible for putting it in place? How did it come about? Who was going to serve on the action team? How was that?
Your former CEO put this action team together. Is that a fair statement, Crystal?
I can't confirm that, Dana. Unfortunately, I'm not sure.
We were reached out to by Mr. Stokes and asked if we would be interested in serving on the action team.
Question probably to our finance department. Exactly how much EDC, I'm having a problem with my ears, y'all, please excuse me, I'm still having the recovery. How much are we investing into this project thus far?
I'd have to look at the contract, Ms. Raymond. I don't have it in front of me. No, actually, I'm sorry. I do have the file right here. So the EDC's investment was $45,000 to enter into this contract.
Year or the one time?
It was a one-time not to exceed $45,000.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? you for your presentation.
Welcome.
Next on the agenda, we have our reports. We'll start with our monthly financial report for September 2025, followed by board meeting agenda postings.
Good evening, Board of Directors. Tonight I will give you the financial notes for September 2025. Everyone have their financial report in front of them? Ready? Okay. Whichever one of you can follow the best. They're really both the same information. Probably the one on the top, Director Albright. Okay, I'm going to go over our revenues and other sources. Our total revenues for September was $699,382, bringing the year-to-date total to $9,738,824, which is $241,863 over the projection. Our sales tax revenue performed strongly, with a year-to-date collection of $7,805,147, exceeding projections by $315,147. Sale of land realized at $1,086,911, significantly surpassing the budgeted $186,300, resulting in a positive variance of $611. Interest on investments is above projections, with $435,328 year-to-date, exceeding budget by $231,329. Our rental income and assessments are both tracking close to budget, with small positive balances remaining. Transfer from general fund is on target with no variance to date. Our overall revenue performance remained favorable, driven mainly by higher land sales and investment income. Total expenditures. Total expenditures for September were $825,129, with year-to-date spending of $3,623,000, leaving a favorable balance of $5,029,602. Expenditure levels remain below 40% of the annual budget, reflecting prudent spending and timing of major projects. My glasses are new, y'all excuse me. Okay. So transfer and payments. Our total transfer and payments amounted to $1,100,000 for September, with the year-to-date transfer fully meeting the annual allocation of $1,464,735. Major transfer included $1 million to Fund 307 for the Parks and Rec, completing the project as planned. Please note, the fiscal year has not yet been fully closed, and expenditures for the period are still being processed. As a result, figures reflected in the September financial report are subject to adjustments. A finalized unaudited fiscal year 2025 year-end financial report will be issued once all remaining transactions have been recorded. Final audited figures will be provided following the completion of the annual review and closeout by the City of Port Arthur's Finance Department. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, flipping to the nice colored one.
Sure.
What is under, told me this before, I'm just having the senior moment. And benefits, allowances. What falls in allowances?
In this instance is auto allowance. And cell phone, auto and cell phone.
Did we remember to adjust that? Did We remember to adjust that in this year's new budget?
We did.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Question, overtime. Why so much overtime? I guess I should direct that to our interim CEO. I know part of it, not all of it.
We do have non-exempt employees, Ms. Raymond, that either work early in the mornings or through the evenings, such as our administrative staff who have to stay for meetings in the evenings. They usually get that overtime.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Board meeting agenda posting.
Yes, Mr. Anderson. On your agenda, we included the board meeting agenda posting deadlines for board members to submit agenda items. We did have a few questions, and I know we've had, because of the new legislation, we've had to push back our deadlines to post, and so we do ask the board to submit your agenda items at least 6 days before the board meeting. We do have to post 4 days before business days. Let me rephrase. 4 business days, we have to post our agenda, so we do ask for a 2-day grace period for staff and legal to prepare the agenda and documents. So we do ask that the board submit those agenda items, if you have any, for the next agenda 6 business days before the meeting. So in your packet, you have the list of those dates. That way you can easily refer to that. Before we do move on, President Anderson, I do want to just give the board a couple of other reminders. For any of you that have not attended basic economic development courses, I know a lot of you have already done that, but if there are any of you that have not or require a refresher, there is one coming up in February 10th through the 13th in Houston. So if you'd like to attend that one, just let us know and we can get you registered for it. Also, in front of a few of you that are on the marketing committee, there is a matrix for, as you know, we did go out for requests for proposals for the website developer. In front of you, there is an evaluation matrix. If you can get those back to us by the end of this week, that way we can tie this up and hopefully award the proposer at the next board meeting. Yes, go ahead.
We're all struggling with our new House Bill 103 and this posting. And I appreciate the comments some board members have asked. Kate and I will also look at this for next month and for any succeeding month, because there is also the issue about 3 business days and whether holidays will count. And so, Mr. President and staff, we have Friday, November the 21st as the date to provide items. That is really critical, because if we determine that Thanksgiving, that Thursday will not count, and I'm saying to you right now, I don't think it will, then the 3 business days will be the Friday after Thanksgiving, the Wednesday, and the Tuesday, meaning the agenda will be posted on Monday, November 24th. So you're getting your agenda in on Friday. Mr. President, staff work very hard to have an agenda call and make sure that they've got everything down that you all have requested and any carryover items or new items. So I think, Mr. President, and I appreciate your allowing the rescheduling for Kate and me this month, but I think we will definitely have to have an early morning meeting on the 24th, because I believe we will be posting the agenda on that Monday for the following Monday because of the holiday. Yeah, and y'all, this is a work in progress. We'll be looking at this because you know, what are holidays? And in January, it's a little different because your annual meeting is your meeting in January, so that's a little later, but we'll have other meetings. So I appreciate everyone bearing with us as we work through this new process since it went into effect September 1. Thank you, Mr. President.
President, one more announcement before we move on with the rest of your agenda. In front of you, you have this little card. We do have our EDC Picture Day in December, so if everybody can come prepared to take a picture, we're going to do headshots of the board so it can be uniform for our new website.
I did have one question. It's about the EDC center we have, EDC. So I know we had to make some adjustment with that cost. Were we finally able to get that situated with the city?
So that is anticipated to be on your next agenda to discuss the lease agreement.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I know we've talked about it. Did we ever get anybody to look at that conference room over at the press building about updating the electronics or microphones or whatever else?
As a matter of fact, we have just ordered some additional microphones for that system. The system that's there is it's still in working order. We did find we need some additional mics for it, just so that everybody can use it. Right now, it's the handhelds, or the lapels, rather. So we're getting some handhelds for that system. Oh, not at this time. Correct.
So on the press building, on contracts for the office space, what are we under right now? What's the contract? Is it yearly?
We have both long-term and short-term rentals for the press building.
Like, what's long-term?
Your long-term or your anchor tenants are those that have been grandfathered in, and the other smaller businesses that rent the one office, the one or two-person offices, those are yearly, one-year short-term rentals.
So I had one call me wanting to go long-term. Is that possible or not?
The reason we have done short-term rentals at the press building for those particular offices is because they are, those are planned to be for the entrepreneurship program, and those entrepreneurs that are be going through the program that we have for the phased program, if you will. I can't think of the word right now. I'm at a blank. But either way, those are geared for those entrepreneurship program participants. So the reason we did those one-year leases is so that we don't tie them up for too long. So when we do launch the program, they'll be available.
Okay. And that brings up the deli, restaurant, whatever. I wanted to put it on last month, and y'all said it was going to come up this month. What's the latest on that?
So right now, an RFP is being prepared for that, the lease kitchen, for the entrepreneurship program out of the lease kitchen.
How long that's going to take?
It'll have to be advertised, so that can take about 30 days after advertising for proposals to come in. And then once those are reviewed, then it can be brought to the board for approval of a contract.
The RFP, when you're going to turn it out?
I'm hoping within the next 30 days.
3 months already, we're talking about this.
Yeah, it's taken a little longer. This one is starting from zero. We are consulting with Grow America to help us put that RFP together because we don't have anything of its like here in our area. So it is taking a little longer to craft this.
What is Grow America?
It's previously known as National Development Council. You may know it as National Development Council, NDC.
Paying for this?
They're our technical advisors, so the board pays them annually.
I've got a question. Go ahead. It was my understanding that we put a committee together to look at how we want to use the restaurant and what capacity. And we're going off to an RFP and there's no committee report or anything like that?
The board did both. The board actually put a committee together for that, and then you all actually approved going out for an RFP. So the next step would be for that committee to review the final draft of the RFP before it's put out. So they would take part in that process as it moves along, but you all did approve to go out for a request for proposals.
I understand that. But unless the committee tells you no, about the board saying what they wanted to use the space for, because the board got in a big discussion about this, how do you know what the board wants to use the space for?
That is the motion the board made several months ago. You all approved to have it as a kitchen incubator, so which is what in turn resulted in going out for an RFP for somebody to manage that kitchen incubator.
Yeah, but how many students? Are we charging? Are we paying? What are we doing?
So in the process for the RFP was to actually identify some of those things, and the committee would then come together and tighten it up. It was so loose. I mean, it's just so many, just like you're just saying, there's so many things to consider within that program, and we don't want to miss anything for sure. And we certainly want to make sure we maximize the opportunity for every resident that will take part in it. So that was to narrow it down, and then we're able to tighten it up the way we want it as a board as we move forward. So instead of us coming together with all of our, wild ideas, it would be something that's a little more tight, and some of the things we consider are going to be in there because they just have to be there. And then if we need to add something, we can, but it just makes it easier for us as committee to sit down and move through it and get it out there faster. That was the purpose of it. Now, I didn't know that it was going to take, so long to get that document together, but it's a lot to think about for a project like that. And we definitely don't want to get it halfway wrong at all. I mean, wrong at all, period. So that was the purpose of that. So we just was asking questions because we didn't have a CEO report and had some things people wanted to know. So we allowed the time for Q&A, okay? So everybody's good now? Okay, all right. To our non-consent agenda items. Agenda item number 1, to review, discuss, and possible action to approve a request from Bishop One LLC to sell property at the 900 West Jade Avenue within the Spur 93 Business Park. May I have a motion, please?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Ms. Mueller.
Yes, sir. Board, according to your covenants and restrictions for the Spur 93 Business Park, if an owner wishes to sell the property or lease the property, they do have to obtain the approval of the board. So we do have Bishop One here who acquired approximately 8 acres of land last year in the business park. They wish to sell the land over to Republic Services, and we do have representatives from both parties here today to answer any questions that you have regarding the property and the development of that property. If there's any questions, we can have them come up and respond to those.
Questions?
I've got a question for you real quick. All right. Selling it by Bishop selling to Republic. Are we giving Republic permission to build on this property?
The property is already developed, so, and Bishop can come up and give you a little bit more detail as to any further development. But once they do acquire the property, they would have the ability to add on to it if they wish to.
I'm Jared Bishop. Be glad to answer any questions about the facility. It is already complete. We've just wrapped it up. It's a 20,000-foot warehouse, pretty large parking area, large laydown yard. We will be adding some fencing and shrubbery around the remaining portion of the property to help beautify it or, shelter anything that might be parked out there. But again, existing facility, I think we've not gotten a final inspection because we have some last little items to tidy up, but for the most part, the property is ready to move into.
All right, what's Republic's intention for the property?
So they're relocating from Beaumont to Port Arthur to get down closer to where their active business is. They are a waste company, not like the trash division. It might help if Steve came up and explained a little bit more, but this is more their tank division where they do hauling of chemicals, vacuum service. You might, if you would like, Steve can elaborate more specifically on what they do.
Yeah, this particular office will be representing the environmental solutions side of our business. Primarily what we will have there are trucks, tankers, boxes, those kinds of things for using to process and move and transport waste from a lot of the petrochemical corporations around here. We won't be having garbage trucks or, those kind of things, very similar to GFL that's already at the spur.
The old Sprint waste, I think.
All right, well, GFL has the world's tallest trash pile I've ever seen in my entire life, so.
That's not our style. We pride ourselves on having some of the cleanest, safest, most environmentally sustainable properties you can have.
And now, are these frat tanks, are these tankers?
All of the above.
All right, are they cleaned before they come in?
Yes. Matter of fact, our tank washing facility is just right around the corner in the spur as well.
Here?
It already exists, Phoenix. Yes. They do the washing and cleaning of our tanks there.
Phoenix Industrial is another tenant in your business park.
Oh, no, it's a tenant that I'm personally highly upset with, that I saw some questions about. I don't know if we've ever checked into it or not, but. We don't know what they're permitted for.
Another issue.
Okay, so the question that I would have, this company does fit within the model that we have in the business park right now? Asking.
This is part of what was track 7, so if you go, we'll talk about this a few agenda items down. Maintenance of vehicles is already being done in the business park. As Board Member Albright just mentioned, I think our greater concern is that the EDC is not pleased with the tenant that is performing some functions for third parties in the business park now, and they may be looking at action from this board that, I'm not saying what will happen, but they will substantially improve their business operation or perhaps face the consequences that the board has mentioned about the way they operate the business, because we don't have any intention of increasing the flow of business through their facility, and they continue to operate in the slipshod manner that property looks like now. So I think to Republic, I would say this: if this sale is approved, don't presume that your cleaning is going to happen around the corner unless that tenant improves their obligations to meet the covenants and conditions that already exist in the business park.
That isn't a primary driver of our reason for going to this location. It's kind of an added bonus at the current time, but should they be unable to fulfill that, we would go to another location.
I would just say, and it's not mine to say because I'm your counsel and no one else's, I would encourage anyone to look real hard if they plan on signing a long-term contract with those people, because you all have directed us to undertake some actions that are not public, they're part of the closed sessions, as to ensuring that those business operations are, as you just said, entirely within permitted from state or federal agencies, and that the maintenance of that facility is not continued as it is now. Because I have been told by several members of this board how disappointed they are with the way that facility looks on a day-to-day basis. And it doesn't need to work that way in order to perform the facilities that they are to be providing to their customers.
Any other questions about this item?
Can we move this one to executive session?
Yeah.
And how many free acres would you have after you sell this? I mean, you have a building, 20,000 square foot, you said.
They're taking the whole tract. It's 8.6 acres. They're buying the entire thing.
I know, but like right now, how much is being used with the parking lot and the building?
2.5, just estimating.
So what we said is, what I understood is they could build on the extra 4 or 5 acres, is that correct?
Correct.
Without coming to the board for approval what they put on it?
So long as it's the same operation and the same business. If they were to subdivide that land and sell to another company to build something different, then that would require the board's approval.
So all they doing is adding on.
Well, that's not necessarily, I don't know if they're going to be adding on, but just for your awareness, they could. There's acreage available where they could add on to it.
As of right now, we have no intention to add on. This is more than sufficient for our needs. It's a pretty straightforward operation. We're just storing our fleet there. It's kind of a lay-down yard operation. We'll do some routine maintenance inside of our bays there. Major repairs and things will be handled by, local contractors in the community here.
Okay, you still want to send executive session?
So is it all?
So we're going to move this item to executive session. Any more questions, those for? All right, thank you so very much for your time. All right.
Effectively, this will be a purchase of, if you know where that building is located now, it would be all the property in front of it towards Spur 93. That's the property, and then Mr. Bishop is aware, and I believe Republic is aware, that per the covenants, there are certain screening and landscaping requirements that would have to be met in order to operate the facility. My concern was not the type so much of equipment, but as you mentioned, just making sure that we weren't buying into some environmental problem on the site, because the other current and planned operations that are on the site for various types of vehicle maintenance and operations are not that concerned. The problem simply lies with one right now that has been in the business park a lot of time, changed owners, but we need to just ensure that we are not having a problem for the EDC with the operation of a facility. So I guess Republic can tell us again, but I assume they're not needing any specific environmental type permits in order to operate that facility. I think that's the most important thing, that you understand that this is no different as far as cleanliness operation than the 2 fire apparatus facilities you have in there, or the Hotart facility that soon will be in there. Vehicles in there, vehicles being maintained, but as far as vehicles in there with environmental waste coming into that tract, I think that's what we wanted to ensure was not going to be the case.
cases, we may have materials brought in, but they would be put on top of berms, and they would just be there just overnight and then shipped out the next day. So this is referred to as a 10-day facility. They're very common. It's not even a permit. It's just a quick application process. But it's going to be completely covered. There's not going to be any odor, anything like that for the community to be concerned about. As far as additional permitting, we don't anticipate any at this time. If we were to bring on on-site fuel, that would require a stormwater permit, but we always stay, at or above what the TCQ and EPA requires of us.
And some of y'all are aware they're in Beaumont now, and they've probably driven about, like me, driven a lot of facilities a zillion times. I've never seen anything that gave me any particular concern about their present facilities. We just wanted them, I wanted them to come today and affirm that the business operation that they're operating over there is going to look like what they would operate in the business park, just with better fencing and landscaping.
Thank you so much.
Yes, so the board will take this into executive session to deliberate a little further. Then if they choose, they'll come out and make a
Like a
decision.
closed session?
Correct,
Okay,
a closed
thank
session. And I'll keep you updated.
Okay, thank you.
I'll work with Crystal or whoever the person is that's currently over the process out there. We will make the fencing, we're going to use slatted, so chain link fencing, but if you've seen the slatted fencing where there's the little slats running through it, it'll be one of those style fences with extensive shrubbery all down Spur 93, right in front of the oak trees, and then all down Jade Street as well. So we'll be glad to work with whoever you want to appoint to guide us and how you want that to look so we can keep a good curb appeal for the business park. So, thank you.
Agenda item number 2, review, discuss, and possible consideration inserting a provision into the incentive agreements requiring incentive recipients to use the city of Port Arthur as their location and advertisement, social media, and on their websites. May I have a motion, please? Second. Been moved and second. Ms. Mueller.
Yes, sir. This is the language that Ms. Leverett, our attorney, has crafted for the board to consider. This is a continuation of the discussion that you all have had at your last 2 board meetings regarding adding some language to our incentive agreement that, put a little bit more responsibility on our incentive agreements to say that they are Port Arthur businesses. So that language is in your packets. If you all will review that, and if you approve it, then we will begin to insert these into our incentive agreements moving forward.
And this is just a draft. You all can make it, you can revise it, etc. It just was something to give you a starting off point. Just reviewing. I think it might be difficult to implement retroactively to all of your current incentive agreements that you have outstanding, but any moving forward, this would be inserted under obligations of incentive recipient. If you want to change best efforts to shall, you can do that. I didn't have a great feel from the entire board on exactly how tight you wanted it, so this is a jumping off point, and I'm happy to listen to you all to revise it more so that it can reflect what the board's goal is.
Questions?
A comment. Thank you very much. I've looked over the wording, and I do have a couple of suggestions, and of course would love to hear the thoughts of the rest of the board, but being as I was the person who raised this concern, I do like the idea of tightened wording, and I do understand maybe the expressed difficulty of perhaps trying to implement this or enforce this retroactively. I would be interested in any and any strategies or efforts that we could potentially make to encourage those who are receiving incentive from the EDC to do such, because that is currently, I guess, some of the observed perpetrators, if you will. And as for the wording, I don't know if we want to discuss it now or if that's something that we want to just like submit following this meeting, but I do have just a couple of wording tweaks. I don't know.
Talk about it.
Okay, we can talk about it. So, the way it reads currently, incentive recipient shall use best efforts to identify its location within the city of Port Arthur, and it's, you can see it is in item 2, okay.
I don't have a copy.
Okay.
Well, you,
No, my package was delivered, and your dollar just came out, and my package was delivered. The matrix item.
there you go.
So it reads, incentive recipient shall use best efforts to identify its location within the city of Port Arthur, Texas, on all communications to the public, specifically on their website and social media pages. I generally agree. I do believe that we need I like to remove use best efforts. I don't want to rely on anyone's best effort. I think it should say shall. Incentive recipient shall identify its location. I want to add the article as. So incentive recipient shall identify its location as within the city of Port Arthur on all communications to the public. And I'd also like to add I want to add the detail, like maybe a clause, comma, both written and verbal, because one business, I called them as recently as Saturday, and they greeted me on the phone, and they're in Port Arthur, and they greeted me as Mid-County. Yeah, anyway. So I'd like to say both written and verbal, and then the specifically on their website and social media pages, I think is adequate. But those are my suggested updates based on my intent when I expressed this concern.
O'Neill?
Yeah. Identify its location with, need to insert the word in the city of Port Arthur.
The comments on it? We want to take some time to put some more thought into this, or do we want to approve it the way that Director Jacobs just gave it?
I think it's great.
All right, so they're within. Okay.
Okay, so someone,
Make a
give
motion.
me the motion.
I so move.
It's been moved and second that we move forward with the wording as corrected by Director Jacobs and Director Albright, moving forward with agenda item number. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, because I did make a request that though, there's stated difficulty or assumed difficulty with enforcing this retroactively, if we can explore the avenues to do such. And maybe we can even define, let's send a letter, maybe define a parameter, because I'd understand it, if someone's been in an incentive agreement with us for like 10 years, maybe not so much. But some of these, some of the agreements that have been made more recently, maybe even that don't necessarily, of course, they meet the requirements, but we know there's some incentive agreements that we have now with companies that don't necessarily fit our normal kind of, the normal type of company that we would approach. Those are the ones that I'm personally most concerned about. I think it should apply across the board, but if we're talking about trying to enforce retroactively, those are the ones I'm more concerned with, some of the more recent engagements that we have. So send a letter and any other types of routes that we can take to achieve that would be greatly appreciated. So I know we moved and seconded, but let's say add that.
Moved and second to approve agenda item number 2 with the corrections by Director Jacobs and Director Albright, and also to send letters out so that everyone is aware of the adjustments to the incentives. That's good? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Item number 3, to review, discuss, and possible action to approve the acceptance of a proposal and to enter into agreement for legal counsel services. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
It's been moved and second. So in your packet, you will see the tallied matrix for those who actually submitted to be our legal counsel. If you take a close look, you can see the tally is under tab number 3. Do everybody have that? Director Raymond, you need mine? Mine? Okay, so you, all right. So, based on the matrix that was given in the tally, it is clear what direction the board wants to move in. I wanted to make sure everybody was good with their numbers. Y'all know what y'all put down, so you know who you are on the list. So you see your numbers there. Okay, so also with that information, we have the contract from Germer PLLC, who was the one who had the highest points on the matrix. That has also been included, if you pay attention, the same information that was provided in the packet that we all voted on has just been put into legal form. So I entertain a motion to...
We've already done that.
Come on, let's vote then.
No, I got 2 questions.
Questions? Okay.
I got 2 questions.
Come on, man.
All right. On the first page of the contract, number 4. Assist is directed with EDC, Chief Executive Officer, and staff on economic incentive agreement modifications document amendments. I think any time that we're modifying policies, documents, or anything else, I think that should be at the direction of the board.
To the board.
And an example of that would be is staff engaging you on project X that the board has no idea about, and 40 hours of work later, it comes to the board, and the board's like, we never wanted this. Because at the end of the day, you work at the will and pleasure of the board, correct? Then I believe, except for day-to-day matters, the direction should come from the board. Now, staff, I can't wait to hear if they want to modify or something, just bring it to the board, and they'll go, yeah, kick it to the attorney, go for it. But I think the process should start with the board.
Are you referring to new, like people, letters of intent and stuff like that?
No.
What are you referring to?
No, modifying, this talks about modifying current policies and wanting to change current policies or bringing up new policies. And well, I think staff should bring it to the board if they want to make a change.
So
we need to agree before we engage the attorney in a project. Yes.
Are you just saying staff?
No, I'm talking about the CFO. If we want to make a change to a policy, to a written policy, I think the CEO should come to us first and go, hey, guys, I think we need to change this policy because of this, this, and this.
Where are you reading policy, though? I mean, I think I'm missing what you're talking about.
I might, in reading number 4, I could just suggest this, that you leave the sentence as is, but at the end says, on the incentive agreements, modification or document amendments as approved by the board. Just add those 3 words to the end, because our job is to take directives as you all set them in board meetings, but you know, our day-to-day work is with this group of staff people. So I'm perfectly happy and take the hit for not realizing that should have been added. We'll just add, if it's approved by the board, as approved by the board. And so nothing will happen in a vacuum or without the board's knowledge.
Okay, and, let me see. I just want to confirm something, the very last sentence, all right? Government recognizes certain legal services of the EDC may be directed to and handled by the Office of the City Attorney for the City of Port Arthur. I'm assuming that's personnel and personnel matters?
That heretofore has been, well, I shouldn't, how do I say this? That has been the circumstance at some points, but as members of this board are aware, there have been personnel matters that ultimately we sent to the city, but were handled by us in previous years. So yes, we try to look at this as a collaboration, you know, that may even, how do I say this, that may even be more such, depending on what happens in the election tomorrow. But we would view that we are the primary counsel for the EDC on matters related to economic incentives, whether they're under a 4A or 4B or whatever the city may decide. But you're right, that has previously been our collaboration with them primarily on matters such as personnel.
Got anything else?
No, sir.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Right. I'm sorry, y'all. Number 4, review, discuss, and possible action to approve a summer youth employment program for 2026. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. We have any questions?
You're going to hate me.
Good.
Come on, Mr. Granger.
This is more board. The committee met last week on this, okay? And after discussing it, and I'm not trying to chunk you underneath the bus here by any means, but after learning how the CTE program worked and how successful it is, I just got to thinking, and I talked to Ms. Raymond about it a little bit, and I'm sorry I forgot to call you and run it by you. But the CTE program at the high school is very successful. They're placing everybody. Only the kids that really didn't try or apply themselves are the only ones that are graduating without jobs. They're placed them, according to you, correct?
We're placing a lot of them.
So then it becomes, do we want to take up Mr. Granger's time with students, and I don't mean anything bad by this, but they really didn't apply themselves, and now he's got to hold their hand and everything else, and he had the same problem last year. And I'm just of the opinion that I don't think it's worth staff's time at this point to do this. If the success rate's already there, why bother doing it? I mean, if you want to give some more scholarships or something, or if the board is inclined, because we discussed this, you know, look at four-year students, and you're just giving them a job just to give them clothes money or whatever, that's fine, but it's one of those things that I don't believe we should tie up staff's time that hard on this if it's something that's already successful, unless we just want to do some summer jobs, and then that's fine, let him go get the cream of the crop or whatever he wants to do.
Well, I'm not going to deny that the CTE program is successful. It is, and happy about that. The only thing is the number of jobs that we do place for our students coming out that the industry is coming in to get is limited. So once you meet that number, you still have kids, all of them are not the ones that didn't put in effort. They just didn't make the cut. So you still have kids that have certification, they still have put in the work that didn't get a chance because the slots were all filled up. So there's still people there to help. It's not, I'll be honest, just as I stated on the call, teachers are generally going to take those students that have performed well or that they see potential in and put them toward industry, as we've done in the past, because you don't want to put someone out there that's going to cause the whole program to get shut down. But we still have other kids that are identifiable that can get in and still do a good job. So the number does kind of go down when you get to like your welding and your millwrights and stuff like that. It gets down, but then you look at your other programs and then it's like, okay, I have more here. We just may need to look at the type of companies that we're focusing on for our summer job program and maybe redirect it a little bit just to kind of open it up. But there are still kids that we can still help. It's just not those ones that we would like to send straight into industry like we love to do so much. So there's still kids there.
All right, let me ask you this. How can y'all make it easier for Mr. Granger? Because he played heck last year after our committee thing.
Mr. Granger had a nice learning curve last year. He knows the players now. He had a learning curve last year.
I just don't want to bog Mr. Granger down.
It's okay.
Tell him what your plan is.
Good evening to the board. First, I want to just thank the committee because I had full cooperation from the committee as we met last Monday. And we did have an opportunity to discuss this pretty much for the majority of the time that we were there. And so I was able to hear both sides and understanding of how Director Albright felt about the program and what may assume to be the full side. Here we always talk about the life skills of a student. And even with some of these students coming through the CTE program, they still lack the ability to even interview for a position. They lack the job itself. They have not worked in most cases. We've had a few that did work. And so when we look at some of the CTE students that have gone through the CTE track, some of them still are changing their career paths as well. This program in the way that it is right now, especially with emerging markets such as the welding programs, such as the installation programs, and such as the medical programs that we have, you're finding that even CTE students are actually cross-training over. We want to give them the opportunity to be exposed to these opportunities. We want to give them an opportunity to be exposed to work. We want to give them an opportunity to be exposed to a system where you're actually applying and competing for a position.
To emphasize, we did have a very successful meeting, and I'm very impressed with Mr. Granger and his proposal in regards to the youth program. I'm glad you shared some light because I was kind of iffy due to the fact of what you said on the call, but now I'm understanding that there is other programs, even though it's industrial, and industrial people are coming for those students. There is other programs that exist that will be available to go into this program. So again, I love the presentation, and I love the printout, and I'm satisfied.
For the record, I'm not trying to be the Grinch. I just don't want to, Mr. Granger, to be bogged down, you know.
You explained it very well.
No, he explained it very well the other day.
Yeah, because you have that one kid.
Well, I'm fine with it. I'm just giving my committee report and my opinion.
It might end up being your most successful.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, agenda item number 5, review, discuss, and possible action to approve the scholarship program for 2026. May I have a motion, please?
I so move.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to say Mr. Granger did a great job on that also, since Ms. Raymond was giving.
Want to be left out?
No, I just don't want to be the Grinch on camera.
Just want to say I want to thank the board, and allowing us to get it approved this early allows us to release it to the students by January and get that taken care of. And we do have the support of the counselors and the school districts as well to help us to push this program out this time, and as well as the help of some of the chambers as well and the partners that we've made in order to get the right businesses in place. Thanks.
Amen, thank you. Great job, Mr. Granger. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Agenda item number 6, review, discuss, and possible action to execute a letter of intent from the Port Arthur Economic Development Corporation to Lamar State College, Port Arthur regarding the support of an expanding welding training program. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Been moved in second. Ms. Mueller.
Yes, sir. During your last board meeting, you received a letter of intent from Lamar State College that is also included in your packets again this evening. And following closed session, the board wished to go ahead and provide Lamar State College a letter of intent for a future memorandum of understanding or employment agreement, or job training agreement rather, with Lamar State College, contingent upon certain things that the board did require, such as them receiving funding from the state with their grant application. So our legal team has crafted that letter of intent from the EDC to Lamar State College that is included in your packet tonight. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask those. Otherwise, we do ask you to go ahead and approve execution of this letter of intent so we can submit it to Lamar State College.
Questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 7, review, discuss, and possible action regarding the Spur 93 Business Park covenants and restrictions. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Ms. Mueller.
Yes, sir. Ms. Garcia is passing out a few pages for you tonight for you to reference during this item. The board, if you recall, has talked several times with our previous attorney as well regarding updating our covenants and restrictions as far as the business park goes. They are outdated. It's been a while since they have been amended. There are some things that we need to tighten up in those covenants. One thing that we wanted to point out to you all, just to kind of bring this back to the table so that we can direct Mr. Goodson and Ms. Leverett to go ahead and move forward with making some of those proposed changes to the covenants and restrictions, is the 2 maps that Ms. Garcia just passed out to you. One is the very first plat of the business park, and then there is the second page reflects an amendment to that plat in 2011. If you'll see toward the middle of the business park, the original business park plat did not include Block 11. So therefore, your covenants and restrictions only refer to blocks 1 through 10 as far as permitted and prohibited occupancies. We definitely need to amend these covenants to include Block 11, because as it stands, Block 11 does not have any restrictions as far as the covenants go with prohibited occupancies and allowed occupancies.
It's on the second map, and it was carved out of Block 10 when the streets were completed. I think we would probably suggest that, that clearly there are limitations about development of anything within the business park. But when I talked to Crystal about it, and we agreed, look, this is not something that we're starting and throwing this thing out and starting over. A lot of work went in by boards before this to make the original covenants and the 1, 2, and 3 amendments that ran after the second map through 2014 or 16. And a lot of it's like that, landscaping, maintenance, tenant obligations. We're not talking about making significant changes there. What I think, and Chris could make sure you all get this, and you can look at all of the covenant, both the original as amended, but when we wrote, and I had the privilege of working with Mr. Baptiste on this in 2005, we had almost a blank sheet of paper. There was not a lot of development out there. So you have delineations of properties and by tract numbers, and you have there on page 4 of the original 2005 covenants, what we call permitted occupancy. And what we have now is developed areas so that we are kind of matching what is already out there now with what you all view the rest of the infilling you would like to see directed as what is already in each one of those sections, because a number of the sections have a significant amount of development, others still have a number of open and available properties. So what the intention would be, and the reason I just asked Crystal to give you all both of the maps is so you can see, go back to the original map and see, match that up with these parcels and see how it's played out and then how the development has actually occurred, so that we make certain that the permitted occupancies in the future, in other words, no entity will lose its use as it exists or is in the process of construction. So in other words, whatever is out there in the mix of businesses that are in any parcel, in other words, we're not going to do like cities do and do rezoning and then make something, grandfathered in only. We're not talking about doing that. We're talking about making sure that what is there and what is not complete in any section works collaboratively, so that you're working very hard to make sure you're getting the mix of users and or tenants that the business park wants, which is job creation, ad valorem tax creation, and certainly, if possible, sales tax creation. We're looking for that three-legged stool. Do every one of those entities out there do that? No, but they all have job creation and they all have ad valorem tax. I've always viewed the sales tax component is the icing on the cake, but in a 4A, those first two, job creation and ad valorem tax creation, were and have been the primary drivers. So this is intended not to go throw any babies out with bathwater. The intention is just the opposite. Take what's there, look at what's there, identify the type of use, and make sure that what you are putting out for potential future buyers and or tenants matches what you all want to see the business park further developed. And again, I just think I'm a visual person. I drive, every time I come down here, and I've done this for as long as I did it before, and since y'all have given us the privilege this time, I drive through the business park every time before I come down here. Not because things change overnight, but because I like to refamiliarize myself with what's there. And so at the end of the day, the intention would be to direct us, this is kind of through that just a matter we mentioned in the legal service contract to direct us to bring back suggested amendments to the covenants. Again, we don't want to mess with the guts of this thing, because most of this stuff, particularly all that stuff on tenant obligations and maintenance, and how they have to maintain their property, with one notable exception right now, have well thought out of, and we want to work hard on that, and maybe even add some more language on what happens when people don't do as the covenants. We feel like we got good covenants, but we think we can enhance them. So we're happy to answer any questions, but our goal would be to take and refresh primarily areas in the original covenants about permitted uses or occupancies, and how you would want us to see these move forward in the future.
Any questions?
Mr. President, I recommend you appoint a 3-person committee that comes back fairly quickly, works with staff as far as recommended uses and non-uses for a recommendation for the board.
Just to add to the covenant so that in their adjustments that already be there.
This a little, well, maybe it's off, maybe it's not. Wanted to discuss last month, and it was going to be brought back this month, I thought, purchase of property. We had discussed with LeBrie purchasing a property, and he notified you he wanted to purchase property the next day or afterwards, and you had some new rules that we didn't know about, or I didn't know about, I didn't understand. So I'd like you to explain the rules of the park.
Point of order, that's not an agenda item. And we can ask that question outside the meeting directly to director and council, but that's not an agenda item. So as it relates to our committee that we are trying to form, do we have anyone that wants to volunteer to work on that committee to help with that? I know I want to. Okay, so myself, Director Frank, and Director Albright will work on that fairly quickly. I sure hope y'all do stuff on Zoom. Y'all don't have to meet in person. Praise the Lord.
Pleasure.
So
we'll make ourselves available.
You can see that.
So we'll meet. Just depending on the timing. We'll meet, but that, so the idea, we'll meet, but that doesn't stop, if we vote yes, you all from going on and starting your, yeah, okay? All right, so, any other questions? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have a committee, we have attorneys going to work. Agenda item number 8. Review, discuss, and possible action to amend or rescind Resolution 25059 as it relates to the agreement with Grant Works, Inc. for the Economic Development Grant Research Application and Administrative Services. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Director LeBeau.
This was brought up last month. I think we questioned Ms. Mueller on the amount of money and sent out a contract to be signed for $22,000 maybe, and it turned out $55,000 or close to it, the numbers.
Yes, sir. A correction was emailed out to you all. You had placed this agenda item on the last meeting to rescind or amend. The board decided to move forward with it. There was an error in the copy of the contract that was provided to you all. The copy that was in last board meeting stated $22,000, and it is actually the resolution that was passed by the council, which I then, after the board meeting, sent out a correction to the entire board, is for $55,000. So it's already been approved by the board and council at $55,000, so I can restate that correction again, rather than $22,000, as it was stated at your last board meeting during your discussion and error. It is been approved for $55,000 and for a 5-year term. Again, it's the pleasure of the board if you all want to discuss amending or rescinding that resolution. Otherwise, we would just move forward with the contract.
The only concern I have is that, where does the $22,000 come from? I mean, this was approved back in January, the $55,000, and that was one of the questions that I asked at the last meeting. I thought it was 55, but I knew it was 50. And at that time, you assured me that it was $22,000, not to exceed $22,000. So I'm just trying to figure out where the $22,000 came from.
Yes, ma'am. So before your last meeting, when it was requested to be put on the agenda to amend or rescind the previous contract, we did reach out to GrantWorks for a copy of that contract. The one that they provided us had the error of $22,000. I don't know where the miscommunication was months back, why they had a copy that said $22,000 and the one that was approved by council has $55,000. But I do again apologize to you. I was looking at the contract that said $22,000 the last meeting, but it is indeed $55,000 as you thought.
I think something would clear up a lot of confusion with this, and it's not modifying the resolution. And that would be just that staff is not to use GrantWorks without the board's permission.
Now, would that be whenever we actually ask them to apply for something? Otherwise, we'd be having to come to you all just to do research for certain grants that we may even qualify for.
Right, but that being said, if we're going to go out and search for a grant, you're going to have to come to the board to do that, correct?
Search, again, are you saying to even search for a grant to start that research, or to apply for the grant once it's been determined we qualify for it?
The applicant, listen, okay, you just can't call them up and go, I want to research if there's any money out there to do X, okay? I would like that to come before the board, before you do that.
Mr. Albright, I think that kind of gets into that boundary of operational. You know, of course, the board has the say on whether we apply for a grant that we determine we might be able to go out for, any contracts, amendments, policies, as you stated earlier. But if staff wanted to ask GrantWorks to see if there's any monies to put signage somewhere, I think it would bog you all down, as well as staff having to come to you to ask for permission to even find grants that we may qualify for.
I guess my main concern is that...
Hold on a second, I want to keep on this. So between signage, murals, and everything else, I want to put EDC money out without any direction of the board. We're asking the board if that's what the board wants to do. And then rationalizing, going, well, we're in a contract with some people over here, and this is what they've recommended. But you haven't informed the board, and you're using something else as an excuse to do it.
I don't think we were, I don't think we want to cross over into day-to-day operation. Staff has the ability to do their job within the confines of what we approve. And I don't think we want to start limiting their ability to do their job, especially when it's something minute. All the big stuff has to come to us anyway. Everything huge, everything has to come to us that's over a certain amount of money anyway, right?
Well, no. You've got the ability right now to go out and do $15,000 worth of research. You can $5,000 to death.
Now, I don't want to step in here and, but, you know, Kate, even more than me, works with a lot of grant consultants, and both pre-award, award, and then post-award. This contract, to me, is really designed, much as we work with a couple of firms, trying to identify if grant funds are going to be available. They are talking about billing $125 an hour for research and for technical assistance. But, you know, right now, I guess, with the level of funding at some federal levels particularly, and less so at state levels, you know, I don't see anybody running up a $10,000 or $15,000 fee bill and it showing up on, you're going to meet every month and you're going to see a grant work invoice and you're going to see what it's for. I personally believe the staff needs to have some running room to go try to get stuff together and let you all look, and then if you're not satisfied, and I look back at this as the experience we had working with Crystal and others with the EDA, this is not 30-day run. These grants tend to run along a little bit like molasses to me, and when these grants happen. You know, now I will say this, on some grants, you have windows of when the funding opportunity is going to be available. And I think this staff will be more than happy to notify you. A window is open and GrantWorks is going to assist us with some research about our eligibility. The main thing is, that I learned with EDA from Metro Baptiste is, you know, it's a little bit like kissing toads. You're not going to be eligible for every one of them. And in fact, I had to laugh because of the Department of Agriculture that they mentioned in here. You wouldn't think the USDA is an important grant funding source, but they turn a lot of grants out. So to me, I don't know how to say this, but I think there's got to be some level of trust, because I just don't think you can wait 30 days sometimes to hit a window on some of these grants. And so I think that some latitude in this contract needs to be given to staff to work with GrantWorks to see if those kind of funds are going to be available. And as I understand it, if they bill you, you're going to get a bill, and you're going to see it on Rachel's spreadsheet of what the expenses for the month are going to be before that gets paid, because all these invoices have to be paid by the board.
And we only meet once a month.
Yeah.
We only meet once a month. You're going to see the invoices. And we've done it in the past. We don't, I mean, do you know how much? I mean, we only meet once a month, and they are timelines on. That's fine. Yeah, that's timelines on. Let's move on.
All right, so the motion is to amend or rescind.
It was to rescind or amend the authorization from the city under their January 2025 resolution was for the $55,000 per year spread per this amount. But at least in the grants, and Kate can speak to this because she's doing more of these right now than me, the ones that I've seen, they're going to notify you of your eligibility, and you're going to get that information. I would think that would go out to the board, and then, you know, you definitely don't want to be sitting here on November the 5th, and they call you, and then you not be able to act on it until the December board meeting.
All right, so do we want to vote on the
And again, I don't, I'm sounding like I lead the choir. My suggestion would be that you simply move to ratify the contract that you got, that was approved by the council, and then expect this staff to come back to you when they're getting GrantWorks is actually saying, we've got something in the pipeline for you, and they let you know, just like they would otherwise, yeah, as the work progressive, so you're not showing up here a month later seeing something for the first time.
And can I get a motion to that effect, please?
So move.
It's been moved and seconded that we ratify the agreement as written. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we're going to move to closed session. It is now 7:55. The Board of Directors will recess to executive session pursuant of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code for Section 551074, personnel matters. We'll the executive session. Mr. LeBrie, to reconvene
What you need to do.
our regular board meeting for the Port Arthur Economic Development Corporation. May I have a roll call, please?
Beverly Raymond. Here. Kayla Jacobs. Here. Jerry LaBeouf. Here. Darrell Anderson.
Here.
Morris Albright. Here. Ingrid Holmes. And Caprina Franklin. Here. You have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you so much. At this time, we have one item we want to deal with coming out of executive session, and that's agenda item number 1, to review, discuss, and possible action to approve a request from Bishop 1 LLC to sell the property at 900 West Jade Avenue within the Spur 93 Business Park. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
It's been moved and second. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any future agenda item requests?
Yeah, I have one, please. You might want to write it down however you want to do it. Review, discuss, and possible action to approve the sale of property at the business park.
Any other? All right, I'll entertain a motion to, y'all don't run out of here. Director Raymond wants us to pull names before we leave, so after we adjourn, y'all just look. Grab you one of those papers. So I entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, been moved in second. All in favor? All right, nobody gonna oppose that. We will see y'all on next month. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you, and enjoy your November. Okay.